Life in the small neighborhood provides little Henry with many opportunities to interact with everyone. However, at the age of 6, Henry is shaping his personality and sometimes exhibits improper behaviors stemming from a lack of understanding or imitating adults. Dad Thomas and Mom Mary always choose to handle things directly, rustically, and sincerely to help their son recognize the values of self-respect, respect for others, and fairness. One afternoon, Henry went to his friend Toby's house and saw that Toby had a very modern remote-controlled car racing set. As soon as he got home, Henry started whining, which turned into screaming as he threw himself onto the floor. The boy sobbed loudly, "I want a racing set just like Tobias. Why does he have one and I do not? You must buy it for me today." Dad Thomas was tidying the bookshelf. He stopped his work and stood silently looking at Henry. He did not get irritated or use threats. He waited for Henry's screaming to subside before slowly kneeling beside his son. His eyes were serious and decisive as he looked straight into Henry's eyes. His voice steady, "Henry, stop and stand up right now. Your crying and demanding like this will not help you get a new toy, and I will not agree to buy anything for you while you have this attitude." Mom Mary also stepped over and sat on the floor with Henry. Mom looked at him with a composed face. She took his hands, which were pounding the floor, and spoke sincerely, "Henry, I understand that you think Toby's toy is very beautiful and you like it very much. But every family has its own plan for buying supplies and toys. Mom and Dad bought you a Lego set last month, and we cannot constantly buy new toys every time you see a friend with something nicer. Mom and Dad's money is for food, electricity, and more necessary things." Mom Mary wiped his tears and continued, "Your envy and blaming Mom and Dad is not a good action. It makes Mom and Dad sad, and you do not feel happy either. Instead of demanding, why do not you enjoy the toys you already have, or ask Toby for permission to play together next time? Do you want to be a boy who is satisfied with what he has?" Dad's seriousness and Mom's realistic explanation helped Henry understand that crying could not change the family's principles. The boy stopped crying completely, sat up, and began to understand that everyone has different circumstances. Another time, when an elderly neighbor walked past the gate a bit slowly, Henry stood in the yard and shouted, "Hello, grumpy old man!" The boy laughed with delight, because he had previously heard some adults sitting around talking and using those words to tease the neighbor. Dad Thomas was watering plants. Hearing this, he turned off the faucet immediately. He walked quickly to Henry, his eyebrows furrowing slightly, and his face showing clear dissatisfaction. He placed his hand on Henry's shoulder, his voice serious. "Henry, what did you just call him? That is a very disrespectful term for an adult. Mom and Dad never allow you to use such mean nicknames for others." Mom Mary came out of the kitchen. She sat on the stone bench and beckoned Henry over. Mom looked at Henry with a solemn face and spoke rustically, "Henry, do you know his name is Mr. Brown? He is an elder and our neighbor. When you call him by that ugly name, he feels very insulted and sad. Think about it, someone called you a bad kid instead of using the name Henry. Would you be angry and want to cry?" Mom took Henry's hand and explained further, "You might have heard someone say that, but not everything adults say is right for you to imitate. Words can hurt others just as much as a physical wound. You are a well-educated boy. You need to call people by their names or polite titles. Using mean nicknames to mock someone's appearance or age is a very poor action." Mom Mary requested Henry, "Now go to the gate, wait for Mr. Brown to return, and offer him a polite apology. Mom and Dad want to see you be a boy who respects everyone around you." Henry lowered his head in remorse. He realized that the words he just said were not fun at all as he had thought. That afternoon, Henry went over to play at the neighbor's house just as the family was preparing to sit down for dinner. Seeing delicious fried chicken, Henry refused to go home even though Mom Mary was standing at the gate calling him. The boy stood stubbornly by the dining table and said, "I want to eat here. I'm not going home. The neighbor has better chicken than we do." Dad Thomas stepped over. He did not give Henry a chance to say another word. He decisively led Henry by the hand out of the neighbor's house, brought him back home, and closed the gate. He stood facing Henry, his eyes still but very serious. He said, "Henry, you're demanding to stay for dinner at someone else's house when not invited beforehand is a very impolite action. Every family needs private space during mealtime, and you are bothering them." Mom Mary was waiting in the living room. She pulled Henry to sit on the chair. Mom looked at him sincerely and explained, "Henry, I have already prepared dinner for our family. Your staying at the friend's house would make the family feel confused because they only prepared enough food for their own households. Moreover, mealtime is when family members talk to each other after a day of work. Your being there would make everyone feel uncomfortable." Mom Mary gently stroked Henry's shoulders. "You like fried chicken? I can cook it for you tomorrow. But you were never permitted to demand that others serve you, especially when Mom and Dad have called you home. Your insistence on staying makes Mom and Dad feel very ashamed in front of the neighbor. You need to learn to respect the time and privacy of other people's homes. A boy with self-respect will always know when he should leave." Henry looked at the dinner Mom had set out. He understood that he had been too unreasonable. Dad's decisiveness and Mom's straightforward advice helped Henry understand the concepts of bothering and privacy. At the shared neighborhood playground, Henry was playing with a very large sand toy set. When a younger child wanted to come closer to play together, Henry pushed the child away and shouted, "You cannot play! This is mine! You are younger, so go play with your own things." Dad Thomas was observing from a distance. He stepped over and held Henry's hand. His face was serene, and he looked at Henry and spoke in a steady but heavy voice. "Henry, this playground belongs to everyone, not just you. If you bring toys out here, you need to learn to share with your friends, especially those younger than you." Mom Mary also came over and sat in the sand with the children. Her eyes crinkled with shared feeling as she said, "Henry, do you see that you are bigger and stronger than the little one? Because you are older, you need to be the one to guide and protect the younger ones, not use your strength to bully them. Think about it. If an older boy did that to you, not letting you play together, how sad and scared would you feel?" Mom Mary pointed at the toy set. "Toys are much more fun when many people play together. You can teach the little one how to build a tower or let them borrow a small shovel. You're hoarding everything because you are older is a selfish act. An older person is not someone who has the right to take everything, but someone who knows how to yield and share. If you cannot play together harmoniously, Mom and Dad will be forced to take this toy set home, and you will not be allowed to play here anymore." Henry looked at the younger child who was starting to tear up. He felt he had been too much. Thanks to Mom's rustic advice and Dad's decisive deterrent, Henry proactively gave the plastic shovel to the child, and both built a sandcastle together. Dad Thomas and Mom Mary stood watching their son, satisfied that Henry had learned a lesson about kindness and fairness.